Hi everyone, I want to jump straight into things today and talk about why I am seeing a dietitian. First off the bat, I have never seen a dietitian, a nutritionist, or any kind of food and nutrition professional before, so this is a first for me. This is something new. This wasn't something that was recommended specifically by my doctor. This was a conclusion that I came to myself. And I'm gonna run you guys through kind of the journey of how I got there, what I'm doing with my dietitian, and what I am hoping to see from that. Quick trigger warning, we are of course discussing food and eating today. So if that is a difficult topic for you, you may choose to skip this video. So please do take care of yourself. First thing is, how did we get here? I am gonna start from the beginning of COVID because that's when I feel like things changed for a lot of people. Coming into COVID, so coming into the beginning of 2020, I was pretty happy with my diet. I was eating kind of a 99% vegan diet. I had a lot of variety, a lot of foods that I enjoyed. I was going to the gym and doing pretty well, but I was in a fairly stressful job. When COVID hit, I decided to get a lot of my enjoyment out of food because there wasn't a lot else that we could do at that time. So I was making cookies, I was making bread, I made gnocchi for the first time, but point being, it was a lot of additional carbs, and coming out of COVID, my carb intake definitely stayed higher. I was having less fresh fruits and vegetables and had kind of allowed more processed foods into my diet, and that just kind of carried on from there. Even though I knew a lot about FODMAPs, gut health, fermented foods, fiber, protein, all that good stuff, I was just kind of keeping that in the back of my mind, and I was generally making like all right choices, and also was basically the same weight and size, and I felt all right. So that was kind of coming out of 2020. This all just worked fine for me for a while. From January 2021, I was doing yoga each day. And then in August of 2021, all of Auckland was locked down for about 4 months. The burnout from my job hit hard from that stage. We also got a dog who would try to lick my face or like sit on my head every time I tried to do yoga. So that kind of went out the window a little bit at that stage. At that point, I was still doing a decent amount of walking, and I was, running around doing a lot of different things, but I wasn't doing as much like deliberate exercise, and I was obviously still quite stressed, but my clothes still fit, I was a similar weight, and I was sleeping well, so I just carried on as I was. Things started to change for me more in mid-2022, so just over 6 months ago. I was slightly heavier than when the pandemic started. I left my job, I took a month off, I started to heal from the burnout that I've been experiencing for almost a year, and I started my new job. I was less stressed, I felt like I was eating more freely, I was cycling to work, I was going to the gym again, I was doing weightlifting there, but suddenly I couldn't fit some of my clothes. And I was upset and feeling like I needed to get a plan together. At that point, only a month into my job, I was knocked off my bike by a car, and I had to take a month off work. During that time, I was on morphine for 3 weeks. That's kind of how bad it was. No long-term injuries, but I was in a lot of pain for a while. When I started back at the gym, I actually weighed slightly less than the previous month, which was confusing. At that point, I decided to add more veggies and protein to my diet, carry on exercising like where I could, and just kind of see how I went. I was getting weird symptoms by this time though, so I was kind of feeling hungry a lot of the day, but I was also feeling like uncomfortable, like I'd eaten too much. I wasn't losing weight or size, I wasn't gaining it. It was a confusing time. So I went back to something that had worked for me a few years ago, and I started doing intermittent fasting. So just eating during an 8-hour window. That has helped me to feel a lot better throughout the day. So I feel like my appetite is much better regulated. I'm not having that uncomfortableness, but I still wasn't losing weight or size, and I still couldn't fit clothes, which was really upsetting to me. At that point, so about 4 months ago, I downloaded the dreaded app MyFitnessPal. Now I will say this wasn't to just restrict my calories. I really felt like I needed to try maximize my protein intake, so I was fueling my body while sort of reducing any excess calories, but making sure that I was staying in a sensible calorie deficit and not overdoing it, whereby I was running around doing a lot on a given day, but I wasn't eating enough to support that. So I wanted to avoid doing that while staying in a sensible calorie deficit. Another month went past of me doing that alongside the intermittent fasting, having more veggies, more protein, and I was still the same size, same weight, and starting to feel like nothing was gonna work. By that point, I had used up all the tools I had available to me, and I was really starting to lose motivation. So that is the point where I decided that I needed to seek professional help. All right, so number 2, what am I doing with my dietitian? I started with just an introductory call with my dietitian to explain to her everything that I've kind of gone through, everything that I explained to you guys just now. And then from there, we decided on an 8-week program rather than a 6-month program, which she also offers, as I felt like I have a lot of the right building blocks, but I needed help to make sure that I was executing things correctly and that I was doing the right things for how my body in particular handles things. Once we decided on that, I kept a food, water, and symptoms diary for 4 days. So this was seeing what I was bringing into my body sort of on a typical 4 days, and then also how my body was experiencing that. So that could then give the dietitian more information on what my body in particular needs in order to function well and to feel good. We then had a VIP session where the dietitian came to my house. We went through the food and symptom diary and we came up with a plan. It is definitely worth noting that some of this plan is just general good things to do. Others are specifically based off of my symptoms and my current eating habits and the other factors which have informed the guidance that I received from a licensed professional. So just keep that in mind, that this is not a catch-all, everyone should be doing this. Definitely not that. All right, so here's the list of things that I will be doing over these 8 weeks and seeing how those go. Some of these may change along the way if we are not sort of getting the results that we would expect, but this is what we're doing. I'll be waiting at least 2 hours after waking up before having caffeine, so before having tea or coffee, so that I don't disrupt my natural hormones associated with like energy and awakeness. I will be eating more protein, and especially prioritizing protein in my breakfast to make sure that I nail that from the beginning of the day. I had already upped my protein, but it was not enough based on the symptoms that I was experiencing, so more protein. I will start supplementing a few vitamins that it looked like I'm not getting enough of based on my diet, which is still mostly vegan. I will, instead of doing lots of little snacks through the afternoon, which has kind of been how I do things, I'll be aiming to have one really good, tasty, high protein snack in the afternoon that's spaced out between my lunch and my dinner, so that I still have that extra kind of boost in the afternoon, but it's not in excess and it's giving my body time to rest and digest between eating sessions. I will carry on doing a sort of 15-ish hour fast. I'm not going to push it to a 16-hour fast, but I will keep that window as that seems to work for me. I will aim to not have my desserts, even my healthy desserts, every day of the week, because at the moment that is definitely a habit for me after meals where I then feel like I want something sweet. So I will still be having that probably a couple of times a week, but I just want to break that habit of always feeling like I need something sweet, because at the moment I'm not necessarily like enjoying it, like, oh yay, dessert, this is great. It just kind of feels like a habit. So personally, I want to get away from that. I will aim to eat 30 different plant fibers a week. in order to help my gut health. So plant fibers include fruits, vegetables, beans and legumes, herbs, yes, even though you could just call those vegetables. But anyway, those like plant-based foods, we want to have 30 different of those throughout the week. And I will also generally keep up my prebiotic and probiotic foods. I say that as I'm sitting here drinking my homemade raspberry kombucha, which is awesome. Now, in case it wasn't kind of self-explanatory from the list above, none of this is meant to rule out particular foods, and it's all meant to be enjoyable foods that I'm having. And I will be working hard to have balance within all of this, including balance of balance, you know, moderation, even in moderation, right? I will have 2 checkups with my dietitian over the next 8 weeks. I'll have access to an online forum which has a lot of really cool resources and other people who are also doing programs with the same dietitian. And I have access to message her between 9 to 5 Monday to Friday for extra help or tips or questions, etc., which is going to be really, really cool. Okay, so final thing, what I'm aiming for. There are a few key things for me. I really want to be able to fit my clothes again. Things that I really like that I could easily fit a year ago, I really want to be able to fit those again. So that is a major goal for me. I also want to not feel hungry and lethargic so much. So feeling good is just so important, and I've lost that a bit and I really want to get that back. I want to enjoy desserts when I have them rather than just feeling like I want it every day. And I want to do all of this sustainably. So I want all these changes I make to be things that I can carry on with. There will be a bit of trial and error with this. I am not going to nail it from the beginning, but that is what I'm aiming for, is to do sustainable change that I can carry on with. I will do progress photos, which I will use in an update on this. And I'm also trying to track how I feel and how things change for me over the next 8 weeks or so. I'm really excited to use what I've learned so far from my dietitian, and I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot more over the next 8 weeks, and then also share with you guys how this has helped me. I will plan to make an update on this in 8 weeks, and then probably another couple of months after that to just see like how things have gone once I've completed the program. So keep your eyes out for that. And if you liked this video, please, please, please hit that subscribe button down below so you can stay up to date on my journey and on my additional content on mental health, minimalism, and lifestyle. So take care, guys, and I will see you again soon. Bye.